Welcome to What in the World, a project initiated by Hungry for Life International. Today's podcast is titled Life Change Beach Corner, and Jess will be interviewing Kyle Ulmer. So grab your headphones, sit back, relax, and listen as Kyle talks about how Peru has affected his church.
Hi, and welcome back to another week of the What in the World podcast, where we talk about all things to do with global nonprofits. So today we have one of our church partnerships joining us via Zoom all the way from Alberta. We want to welcome Kyle to the podcast. Kyle, welcome here. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So Kyle is the youth pastor, right? I just asked you this,
Yep.
Kyle is the youth pastor at Beach Corner Church where in Alberta are you?
So we're just outside of Edmonton. So we're a smaller rural church, probably about half an hour outside of the city.
You know, your name is very deceiving because originally when I saw Beach Corner, I'm like, oh, maybe they're like from Vancouver or, the coast somewhere. But no, do you have a beach? Are you on a beach?
We are close to a lake. So if I stand on the roof of the church, I can see the lake. But yeah, that's as close as we get.
I feel like that's bait and switch. Like
kind of it is.
I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. There's a bit of beach. So like anyone in the Edmonton area, if you're looking for a church with a view.
Exactly, from the church roof. You have to go to the church roof to actually see the beach. So it's a little bit of a hike, but
oh, hilarious. So we asked Kyle to come here today to talk about their relationship with one of our international partners. So for a while now, Beach Corner has been partnered with ATEK in Peru. So I'd love to just jump into that relationship and kind of what it looks like, because I'm sure our listeners want to hear how exactly a partnership between a church and a field partner works through Hungry for Life, and would love to hear some impact stories or life change, and we'll kind of get into that. So first of all, how long has Beach Corner been partnered with ATEK in Peru?
Yeah, so our partnership with ATEK really started probably back in 2007. So prior to that, our church was partnered with a local mission organization through our denominations. So in the early 2000s, we were going on mission trips either once a year or once every 2 years, mostly with the youth program. And we would head down to Mexico. So I was a part of those trips for a number of years. And then probably in the early 2007 or so, probably 2006, we started to feel that our relationship with our partners in Mexico was changing and shifting. So it was more of a philosophy of ministry perspective. So wonderful missionaries, I know them really well in Mexico, but they are Canadian missionaries that serve in Mexico, and they've been there for 20 some years or so. But our philosophy from our church was shifting. And our philosophy was we really wanted to partner with a field partner, a mission organization that was primarily led by locals or nationals. We didn't want it to be a driving force from missionaries from Canada or the US. We wanted it to be a driving force from missionaries in country. So we started to distance ourselves with the one we were partnered with. And then around that same time frame, we started to search out different organizations across Canada that, had that kind of mindset. And we came across you guys at Hungry for Life, because we know that that's a big part of what you guys focus on, of having a national-led ministries. And then we start those initial conversations with you guys of just how, because I know you guys are involved in a number of different projects. And over that time, we really landed on an organization called ATEK down in Peru. And so that's how our original partnership started way back in 2008. I think that was our first trip.
2008, eh?
Yeah,
Wow.
so 2008. That was our first
Wow,
trip.
you've
So
been around Hungry for Life longer than I have.
yeah. We've been there with you guys for about 14 years now. So,
Yeah, well,
which is
that's pretty
amazing.
cool because we have only been in operation for 19 years now. So that's
Okay.
yeah, that's really neat. And just for reference, Kyle was telling me earlier that you grew up at Beach Corner Church, right? And then kind of circled back to it, and you've been a pastor there since 2011. Is that is that
Yeah,
correct?
about
Yeah,
that time. Yeah. So I
yeah.
think 2012 officially, but
Yeah.
so I grew up at Beach Corner as a youth and then served here for a bit, then went away to school, then came back to the church.
Hmm.
But I've been on staff here for probably about 10 years now. So,
So
yeah.
what role, like you, well, actually, no, jumping back to how you guys got partnered with Hungry for Life, was it literally just a Google search? Like you just kind of, or how did you find
Probably
us?
was.
Okay.
So one, I was not actually here at that point. So when we
Okay.
first got really connected to the first initial searching part, I
Yeah.
wasn't, we were away at Bible school at that time. But I don't think we had an understanding of who you guys were. And I think it was just a Google search at that point of
Nice.
different mission organizations.
Cool.
And then we really attracted to your guys' philosophy of ministry. So, and that's how the initial conversations really got started way back then. So,
Neat. That's cool to hear.
yeah.
So tell me a bit about Beach Corner, the people who go there. Like what are their giftedness and what are they passionate about? Like what kind of gets their gears going as far as even like missions, like local or international? Give us a bit of a picture of who you're leading there.
Sure. So like I said, we're a smaller rural church just outside of Edmonton.
Hmm.
So I would say over the years, our attendance has fluctuated, but on average, it would probably be about 100 to 150 people that
Okay.
attend on a Sunday morning type thing. And excuse me. And part of our wanting to connect was we really wanted to partner with a mission organization that was intentional about Bible teaching and Bible training. So
Mm.
as we met with Hunger for Life and met with you guys of looking at different mission organizations we could partner with, you guys had a number at the time of potential like water well projects or those types of things, but we really wanted a long-term partnership with an organization that really emphasized and focused on biblical teaching and
Hmm.
training pastors or training leaders within the community. So that's what really gravitated us
So
to
why is that
choosing.
important to you guys?
So for us, uh, the Bible is extremely important, and
Oh,
teaching and
shocking.
leading
No.
people to. I know. Who would
Sorry,
have
that's
thought?
not almost. I'm almost regretting asking that question because it's an obvious answer. But like there are churches who are quite focused on like like the well drilling or the
Sure.
house building. So like it's interesting to me that that was a huge focus for you. You wanted biblical teaching and leader training and that kind of thing.
For
So
sure,
yeah.
like everyone needs to eat and drink. Like that is extremely important. And
Hmm.
over the years, we partnered with one of the projects we were doing in Peru was we partnered with an agriculturalist down there that was helping provide farms and farming techniques for people in the villages we were working in at that time in Peru with ATEK. But their main focus though was equipping leaders to share the gospel. The analogy that they always use is like people's faith in Peru is an inch deep but a mile wide. They might have an understanding, but they really don't know the biblical truths within their heart. So AUTEC, one of their main goals when we first started with them was to build a training center where they could bring in pastors and leaders and people to teach them to go out into their communities to replicate that and to share the gospel message. For us, one of the reasons missions is so important is because we believe going is a command. Jesus commands us to go. He commands us to go to our neighbors, to our local community, but also around the world to make disciples. And that's probably one of the main reasons why we got connected with AUTEC was that's what their heartbeat was as well, that they were going and teaching and making disciples. And so when you make a disciple, it's a multiplying factor, right? So for us, that's what really connected with our church and our heartbeat of who we are. So like our mission statement is to lead people to passionately follow Christ. And so it's really making those disciples.
That's really neat. So what was it like presenting that in front of your church? And did you get any pushback? Oh, even as far as like introducing the idea that you wanted to send teams. There's lots of mixed emotions about the value of teams. So maybe walk us through what it was like to kind of like unravel that for your congregation and kind of walk them through this mission.
Yeah, so sadly, I can't speak too much about that because I wasn't here for the early stages of that.
Yeah, no worries.
Away in Bible school, but over the years, it's been a constant connecting point for us as a church of explaining how important missions are. So for me personally, missions played a big role in, even in my salvation story when I was a teenager, and so I see huge benefit in teams, leading teams, being a part of teams. And I think every individual, we're not all called to be missionaries, but we're all called to go. And I think every individual that is a committed follower of Christ should serve on a mission trip, short term. Like I said, not necessarily a lifelong career missionary, but because God's placed a calling on all of us, that might be different. But for us, our engagement within our church has been huge. Like I said, our church has fluctuated from 100 to 150 up to 200, but on average, I would say 150 regular attenders. But over those 14 years that we have gone, we have seen over 100 people from within our church go on trips over those 14 years. So we've gone 15 times over that 14 years. So that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So to see that level of engagement within our church, and some of those people have gone multiple times. People within our congregation have gone 3 or 4 times as team members, which really speaks to they understand and see the heart and the call and see a love for the people of Peru. So even out of that, we had, I know we had one team member go, and after going on a trip, he made the commitment of going to serve and to live in Peru for 2 years.
Cool.
Yeah, so he went there as a young adult, and he did a lot of Bible translation and worked in a lot of remote villages there. And then another team member, a young lady, she also went on a trip as well, and she also made that commitment shortly after that to move back to Peru. And she moved there and served there for, I think, 4 years. She actually got married and to a nice Peruvian fellow down there and started a family, and now they're back up here in Canada. But we really consider ATEK, that's the mission organization that we work with in Peru there, really family, if not family, very close friends of a lot of the people within our church here. And it's because of that long-standing partnership. When I spoke about why missions is important and what we were kind of looking for, I talked about, Bible teaching and training. The other thing that we really were looking for was a long-standing relationship. We didn't want to just go in and do a project and then move on to another mission organization, another project, another country, community. We really wanted a partnership where we could go back year after year after year and build those relationships. And that's where we feel that we have seen so much benefit, and maybe potentially why so many people within over those 14 years have gone to Peru, because they understand that, and they hear stories, and the people that we still are on staff there at ATEK, it's been the same people for 15 years. So, they're on our Christmas card list per se, right? So, we have that relationship. So,
yeah, I hear the paper grinder in the background. It's a little distracting, but that is such a very neat example of relationship and commitment and Christ's goal in missions work. And I think like we as a staff just went through cultural training last week. We just did two full days of intense cultural training, and what came up,
Yes.
which is even for, we work in a multicultural organization as far as like countries that we go to and stuff. And it was still so beneficial to hear again and again from people who have been and seen and done that relationship is valued far above productivity or money.
Yeah.
And so you guys, Beach Corner is presenting a perfect example of what that means. It's been 14 years and you guys have their family to you, and you know them by name. They it's more than just a team blasting in, blasting out. It's life change on both sides of the equation, which I think is just a really beautiful picture of what Christ wanted missions to look like. So what's it like? Like first of all, did COVID kind of hamper things? Were you guys hoping to go in the last couple of years?
Yes. Yeah. COVID definitely put a hamper on, or a damper, I should say.
Damper. Sorry. I said hamper. I meant damper.
Yeah. I just followed your lead, Jessica. So
that's not always the best idea, but yeah.
Yeah. So COVID definitely put a damper on things. In recent years, probably in the last 6 or 8 years or so, we've been going every 2 years. So 2019 was our last trip. And then we were supposed to go in 2021, and then, as we know, things kind of shut down there. So COVID definitely put a damper on that. But even through that, we still had our annual Peru Sunday. So usually in August, we always have like a Peru Sunday here at the church where we take the whole service and we focus on the ministry that's going on there. And Pastor Freddie, who is the director of ATEK, we had him on like a pre-taped sort of interview. And we showed that, or part clips of that during our service. And we had team members, and we still did our Peru stuff that we normally would have done. The only aspect that was missing was we weren't sending a team. So we still sent some project funds and did some fundraising with regards to some projects that they had in Peru there. But sadly, we did miss the team part of it. And for me as a team leader, as I kind of look back on that, even as we look forward, the longer and longer we go without sending a team, the harder it is to continue that connection for us as a church. Because every time we send a team, people bring back stories. There's life transformation from the team members, and then they share that with their family, the rest of the congregation, and that continues to build year after year after year. But when we're not sending teams, that becomes less and less and less of kind of the heartbeat of what we do on a regular basis here. So we're very potentially excited to look at sending another team to continue that relationship. And but as we all know, there's still logistical challenges with travel and all that.
Oh yes. Don't we know that?
Yes. So
we were just talking about that this morning. We have a 4-phase travel re-entry situation, and we're finally at phase 4. So hopefully we can get teams up and going again, and get some motivation back in people's boots.
Right.
But it's hard. I totally get it. And priorities become different, finances become different, and all that kind of stuff. So you were talking about life change, how trips evoke life change. Do you have a good example of someone from either your church or someone from ATEK that kind of stands out as like a really neat story about life change? I know I kind of put you on the spot there, but if you don't have one off the top of your head, that's okay.
Well, one of the things that I did note here was, I've had the very fortunate opportunity to lead a few trips over the years. I think 5 or 6 trips to Peru, and which is a blessing for me to be able to do that. And for me as a team leader, one of my goals, and is often my prayer, and my prayer is, okay, Lord, I want you to break our team. And which on the first onset sounds like a very strange prayer, because for a team leader, you want things to go smoothly. You don't want problems or challenges.
Asking for chaos here, Kyle.
Right.
No.
Exactly. But in reality, like my purpose of being a team leader is my focus is on the team. And, the projects that we're involved in, that's for the team members really to have an emphasis in. And my job as a team leader is to make sure the team is doing what they need to do or not doing what they need to do. And that's why my prayer is, okay, Lord, break us. Because for me, being involved in missions, I see so much benefit in the team members that go and the life changes that go. Like I have seen people break away from nasty habits that have tripped them up here. Like anytime you take someone away from their creature comforts of, reality here, and you strip all that away, and you don't give them their smartphone. And one of our policies as a team is we don't allow them to contact back home until we get back. And, you strip all that away along with the travel and, co-sleeping and, in one room type deal and the food.
Oh, yes.
And, God has a way of just breaking down people and building them back up. And so for us as a team, that's for me what is probably the most beneficial thing that I see from leading all these teams is people have been healed from past hurts and pains and trauma that they have faced and kept that in, and it's just because they're tender. And so really I pray for that tender heart and that brokenness within our team. Even for me, I always tell my team, I will be, well, not the first one up, but I will be always the last one to go to bed. So if you ever need to talk or to chat, I will be sitting right here. And we've had some pretty amazing conversations and heart transformation, and I think even speaking to that is just the sheer number of people that have gone back on return trips or have moved there, to serve, shows that they get it. They understand the need and yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it's hard to really explain the heart change that does happen on these trips. So thanks for sharing that. The age-old question, why not just send the money?
Love that question.
Right.
We get it every year that we send a team.
Okay.
From someone within our congregation. They always say, why don't we send the money? Like it costs, I don't know, $3,500 or so to send a team member down there for our projects and flights and everything. And isn't it more beneficial to just send funds? And there is a place and a time for that. So during COVID, we couldn't send a team. So we did send just funds. And then ATEK was blessed because they were able to do some of their ministry that they needed to do. But often my response to them is well, why don't you come on a trip and see firsthand what the benefit is? So, because when you actually, like you said, Jessica, it's really hard to put it into fine details of the heart transformation that takes place in a team member that goes. And you really just have to experience that firsthand. I've been a part of enough teams to know that, if we're doing, a building project, yes, just sending funds is typically more efficient, and that's for us in our North American standpoint of we're all about time and efficiency. That's how we work in TIC. But
it is.
But in other countries, that's not the way that it's relationship based. And so for us to be working alongside our field partners, and that's been another one of our stances is we never want to go in with our own agenda as a church. We always want to just be partnering with what they're doing. Even though we've been with them for 15 years, they still say, "Oh, what do you guys want to do when you're here?" And we say, "Well, what do you guys do?" Like we don't want to say we want to do a painting project if you guys don't have a painting project to do,
right.
Because it's your ministry and we're just coming along to partner with you. So for us, being on a team, that's where you get that whole relationship, and that's where your heart has changed. When you're laying on the floor of an airport, for 30 hours, and you're tired, and then all of a sudden we're able just to break out in worship, in the middle of the airport because, we have nothing else to do, is something that you can't really describe. It's the same. I always tell people when they ask, why do I need to be baptized? And I say, well, until you're baptized, you don't fully understand what it feels like to be like a new creation, to like come out of that water and to be a new creation. And I can't really fully describe that. And it's the same with being on a missions team. And yeah, and some people take us up on that challenge, and they do participate in a team, and some don't, and they just support us financially, which is also really important.
Okay, you need that too.
Been able to raise some, and we've been able to raise some incredible funds for a lot of the projects that they've been doing in ATEK in Peru there, and yeah.
Cool. Oh, that I love hearing your heart behind it all. It's exactly why we do what we do. Did Hungry for Life ever send team leaders with you guys, or was it just you? Did you go through our training?
Yeah, so I personally went through your Hunger for Life training a long time ago. Okay. And then over the years we've had back and forth. So I think early on, you guys were sending a team leader to come along with us, and then we switched to us sending a team leader, and then I think we did a few trips on our own, like outside of Hungry for Life. Okay. And now we've switched back to you guys are involved, and I'm sort of the Hungry for Life representative, and one of the church team leaders that goes. So
why this? I didn't know there was a switchback. So why the switchback from doing teams on your own to doing teams with HFL?
So part of it was a logistical shift on Hungry for Life's viewpoint and our viewpoint. So we had to make some logistical changes, and Hungry for Life did as well, which was beneficial. Like, it was not a negative change. And then my role here at the church also shifted. So prior to being in the youth role, one of my main focuses was doing missions and stuff for our church, so I could take on a heavier workload. But then when I shifted to doing more youth stuff, we shifted that administrative stuff back to Hungry for Life, which you guys do so well. And I'm very appreciative of that, because there's so much time and energy that goes involved into planning a team, and now it makes it quite easy for me to lead a team. So that was another shift of why we kind of shifted back in that direction. So
oh, I get that. I don't do any of the admin here, thank goodness, otherwise your team would not lift off. But but I'm glad to hear that there is some benefit to hucking the admin onto us, because we're happy to do it. But that was super great to hear your heart. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk about how missions has impacted your church and the long 14-year relationship you've had with Peru. I think it's such an example for many people. So I don't have any more questions, but I just wanted to say thanks again, and we hope to see you soon, maybe on an airplane. I don't know, but
that would be awesome to get back into the swing of things with that. And I'm so thankful for you guys and all the work that you guys do, and over these last 14 years, it's been such a blessing for our church just to be working with you guys at Hungry for Life, and also with us with ATEK. If we had more time, I could share many stories of how lives have been transformed and changed. So,
well, I mean, just having like over 100 people go from your 150 congregation church, it's unreal. I'm sure it's like every person probably has a pile of stories that they could share, which is why we do this podcast. We want to get little snippets of that, because it motivates us. It inspires me to keep working the rest of the day. So yeah. anyways, we're going to wrap this one up and we're going to say our goodbyes. So thanks, Kyle.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to What in the World, where we seek to educate and inspire. Here at Hungry for Life, we are passionate about your group having a global impact in eradicating needless suffering. For more information, head over to our website at hungryforlife.org, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you may listen to podcasts. Tune in every other week for another conversation about what is happening at Hungry for Life.